Welcome to the Newton tutorial series. I'm Mike Cruz with AC-Tek, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to use the restart files that Newton prints out. So in the same directory that all your simulation goes to, Newton is going to print your restart file. And of course that's assuming you have it set to save a restart file. But of course you always want to use a restart file. If you lose power to your computer, or your computer crashes, or some inconsiderate person comes along and shuts down your computer before the simulation finishes, you don't want to have to restart the simulation from the beginning and lose, hours or days of computation. So you always want to use a restart file, and you can choose whether or not you want to overwrite that restart file. So it's going to print one. This simulation is going to print out a restart file every 2 seconds. Every 2 seconds of simulation time, not every 2 seconds real time. So you can choose whether you want to overwrite that restart file or not. By default, the answer is yes. I mean, there's not really any reason to keep the older restart files. You don't really need them for anything. You want to restart from the latest one. So if I go ahead and delete this existing data and I say solver run, so I can see it spit out a restart file from 0.00, and as soon as it gets to 2.0, it's going to replace that with the next one. Boom. If I open up my recycle bin, I can see, oh, it just moved that other one to the recycle bin for me. So if I really needed to get at one of the other ones, it's going to sit in the recycle bin until you either empty the recycle bin or until the recycle bin fills up and it has to start deleting the oldest files. So this is also another reason why you don't really need to save all of them in the directory, because you can get at them from the recycle bin if you absolutely needed to. So there we just created another one and sent the 2.0 to the recycle bin. So the other thing to note is if I say solver stop, rather than using this 4.00 restart file, Newton will stop and create a restart file exactly where you stopped. So that'll even save you an extra, couple of minutes or a couple of hours just to get from 4.0 to 4.794. So, and it will also keep your uncompressed playback files in a nice perfect sequential order. Because if I had gotten to 4.794 and my simulation crashed without creating this restart file, I would have to go back and restart my simulation from 4.000. And that would mean that this uncompressed file would have data from 0 to 4.974. And then when I restart, I'm going to create a second file. And the second file will have data starting at 4, not starting at 4.974. So it's going to have a few seconds, 0.7 seconds of repeated data. And of course, that's not really a problem, because when you merge your playback files, which I'll talk about in a different tutorial, when you merge those playback files, you will eliminate those frames anyway. But the point is that it's certainly always better to be able to restart from that latest restart file. So now if I do this, if I go to, in order to restart the simulation, I go to solver restart. And that's going to open up a file browser, and I want to select the file that I want to restart from. So certainly I want to restart from this latest file. So open that up, and there's a few inputs on here. Generally, when you restart your simulation, you can just get to this window and hit restart. There's pretty much, you don't usually need to change anything. If you wanted to, you could turn off your variable time step, or you could change your critical time ratio, or you could set a new stop time, or change a work directory. But generally, you don't want to do anything here. You don't need to. All you're trying to do is say, well, my computer crashed, I just want to restart. So you just go up here and say, well, let's just restart. And it's going to restart. You can see what it starts creating now is we've got, if I sort this by date modified, there's my first playback file and my first CSV file. So it goes ahead and it spits out a second playback file, because obviously it's not going to go and start adding on to this one. It's going to create a new playback file, and it's also going to create a new CSV file. And you'll notice that when it got to 6.0, it didn't create another restart file yet. So it's going to wait until 6.794. There. And it created it. And you'll also notice that it didn't delete this restart file. And that's because Newton assumes that, hey, maybe he wants to keep this restart file because we might have 3 weeks of simulation data up to this point. And then now when I restart, I might want to be sure that I could keep this original restart file because maybe I need to do something later. Maybe I need to restart this again from that same point. Or maybe for some other reason, I might want to keep that because it's a pretty small file. So it'll create a second restart file, and this is the one that it will start deleting on its own now. So as soon as that gets to 8.795, it's going to replace that one. But you'll always have that initial restart file from where your computer crashed or where you stopped it. Until, of course, you delete it. So we can see it went and created that and overwrote the other one. And there's really not a whole lot more to using your restart files. I mean, certainly if I go in here, I can look and see there's two different playback files. This one, the first one, will go from 0 to 4.79. If I open up the next one, it goes from 4.8 to wherever I stopped the second time. So in the next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to merge these playback files, how to fix and merge these playback files together. So if you have any other questions about the restart files, look at the other tutorials or go ahead and send us an email to info@actek.com. Thanks.